So Rachel, one of the things that you were talking about was, early during the introduction about doing this R&D pivot. And so I'd like to have you kind of tell us a little bit about that. I mean, how you're moving along, COVID-19 comes along, and making that decision to, could this help in this situation? Can you walk us through a bit of that decision making, and timelines, like when you first started?
Sure. I mean, sometimes a decision makes you don't really make the decision, and I would say that this was one of those situations. And I can't actually say that I've had sort of a quiet time to for consideration in about 8 weeks. So I'm not sure. A lot of this is just very reactive, to be honest. 12 hours a day, and you're just reacting. But what happened was we were in the process of raising money to do a phase 2B study with our drug 4620 in acute pancreatitis. And if you don't know about acute pancreatitis, people come into the emergency room. Our patients are hypoxemic. They often have lung involvement, kidney involvement. So we were in the process of doing that. And I can remember, we were on a train, the Excella, going from New York to Boston, the team. And our CMO, Sudarshan, said, our drug could work in COVID-19 in this cytokine storm. I mean, it's actually probably could work. And we all laughed like, oh yeah, don't be silly, don't be delusional. It's not, whatever. It's not a thing. And then, we got back home, and about a week or so went by, and we started to get calls from our clinical investigators, the guys who had used the drug in the past. And they said, hey, do you think we could use the drug in our COVID-19 patients? And we were like, wow, maybe that wasn't such a crazy thought. And our original instinct was, we'll just go out like a lot of people have, and go into patients in a sort of a clinical, investigator kind of way, one-off, and then we'll, call the newspaper and tell them what happened, and it'll all just be grand. And we were a little bit lucky, I think, in that the FDA was really starting to get kind of trying to clamp down on that kind of stuff. And so we realized very quickly that we were going to have to move into a clinical trial, and we were going to have to do it quickly. And again, we were planning to start our phase 2B in August-ish. So it was much sooner than we had expected. Fortunately, we had just done a drug run, so we had drug. And we basically went to the FDA and said, well, we have an IND already in the pulmonary division. Do you think we can just start treating some COVID-19 patients? We'll send you a protocol. And they were like, no. And they said, you have to refile the IND in infectious disease, blah, blah, blah. And so that took a couple weeks to get the IND into infectious disease. But I'll tell you, from the day we filed to the day we had our first patient in, was, I think, 9 or 10 days. There's some midnights there, so it's hard to call which day that is, but it was literally 10 days or less between filing an IND with a protocol and treating the first patient. And so now, then that was April 8th. So that was 3 weeks ago. So now we're doing an interim look on this phase 2 study, because we're at that point now, and we're up in 5 sites, probably be 7 by the end of next week. And it looks like we're going to finish our study at the end of May. And stay tuned. I mean, it's looking good. So it's very exciting. The drug works by downregulating, by going to the lung endothelium and downregulating, like basically your ER starts to spill calcium when it gets in a front, like a viral front or bile acids, things like that. And we downregulate that overactivation, which then downregulates the immune reaction to that. So we see downregulation of IL-6, IL-17, TNF-alpha, and we're seeing that in the COVID patients, just like we did in the acute pancreatitis patients. And the effort, what we're trying to do with the drug is treat the severe patients who are on oxygen and keep them off of a ventilator, and hopefully get them out of the hospital quickly.